Granger MacDonald is a rare breed in many ways. He's one of the few people who can call themselves a native Austinite, as he was born and raised in the capital city. Granger's parents, George and Jean MacDonald, started building custom homes in the 1950s. Jean designed and planned the homes, and George built and sold them. As buyers typically did, the MacDonalds built and moved and built and moved. In fact, Granger had moved 12 times by the time he was in 6th grade. As soon as he was old enough to pick up a hammer, Granger began working in his family's home building business. While he was in college at the University of Texas, Granger supported himself by running framing crews. He started work with his crews early in the morning, went to class, and then closed out the day with the crews at his construction sites. After graduation from UT with a finance and real estate degree, Granger continued in the family business instead of taking a job offer on Wall Street in New York. After the housing bust in the late 80s, the MacDonald family started exploring other types of housing besides single family and began their expansion into the multifamily housing market. In 1990, Granger began researching the unmet housing needs of the rural workforce in small and medium-sized communities throughout Texas. This research revealed that indeed the company should move into building and providing housing for those underserved towns and their residents. As part of this expansion, the MacDonald companies diversified their multifamily holdings into the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, and in 1997, they built their first low-income apartment complex in San Angelo. This property remains in the company's holdings still today, and in fact, Granger and his company still own over 85% of the multifamily dwellings that they have built in 27 cities and towns across the state. In addition to growing his business, Granger had a keen interest in politics and government, a trait that his mother passed down from her work with U.S. Congressman Jake Pickle. Granger had been active in the home builders associations, from the local level all the way to the highest rank as chairman of the National Association of Home Builders. He led all of these organizations through a historic economic recession and placed them on sound economic footing for their long-term success. He has been a steadfast proponent of and donor to HomePack and BuildPack, and legislatively has actively engaged in passing of numerous pieces of legislation that have positively impacted the residential construction industry. In fact, he has worked with 5 presidents and their White House administrations. Most recently, Granger was a key negotiator with the Trump administration on the 2017 tax reform bill to ensure that our industry was protected and benefited from that major legislation. Additionally, as a member and president of the Texas Affiliation of Affordable Housing Providers, Granger worked to expand the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program in Texas, and while serving on the Federal Home Loan Bank Board, he helped increase the availability of acquisition, development, and construction loans throughout our state. He continues to serve on that board today to ensure that builders continue to have access and availability to funds for residential construction. Through his thousands of hours of volunteer work with TAB and NAHB, Granger's impact has made and kept housing affordable and attainable to all Texans in all communities. But in what is perhaps his proudest moment, the MacDonald companies brought workers in from all over the state to Ingleside, Texas, ground zero for Hurricane Harvey, to provide aid to survivors. They knew that it was crucial to make these properties habitable so that families could move back into them safely and quickly, as most of these residents had no means to evacuate and were left stranded by the path of the hurricane with little to no help. Granger's promise was that they would be fully back up and running in 60 days, and they were. In remembering August 25, 2017, when Hurricane Harvey hit, Granger and the entire team and MacDonald companies knew exactly what they were being called to do: bring Texans home. In Granger's office hangs a small American flag that was found on the sidewalk when he first stepped out of his truck to survey the Hurricane Harvey damage. Granger notes that it was a sign that they were being called to bring Texans home. The presence of that small American flag made everyone feel hopeful and that things were going to be all right, even in the aftermath of a devastating hurricane. In reflecting on his 6-decade career, Granger credits his success to hard work and tenacity. He is a titan in our industry, and tonight he continues to follow in his mother's footsteps as a trailblazer in residential construction in Texas. They are the first mother and son members of the Texas Housing Hall of Honor.